It's me again, and in this video, we're going to go over much more slowly than I did in the syllabus video about how do you earn points in this class. Specifically, in this video, we're going to look at the weekly reaction papers. So this is the section on the screen behind me, is the section of the syllabus that says, how do I earn my points in this class? And number 3 is weekly reaction papers. And I put like stars around the word weekly when I wrote it on the syllabus because, yeah, you have an opportunity to do weekly reaction papers. However, there are 16 weeks in the semester and you can only get credit for a maximum of 10 reaction papers. So that means there are 6 weeks built into the semester where you can and should skip doing a reaction paper. So let me just say, before I tell you, do a deep dive into what's a reaction paper and how do you do it, let me just tell you that it is a really good idea that you get started with reaction papers as soon as you feel comfortable doing so. I'm going to tell you what they are in just a second. And get as many of them done as you possibly can early in the semester. So at the end of the semester, you don't have to do that assignment anymore. There are some students that by week 10, they're doing their last reaction paper. We have 6 more weeks in the semester and they don't have sociology homework anymore because they've done all of them between now and week 10. I also have some students who prefer to look at the class schedule, which I suggest you do anyway, even if you don't like this option. I have some students who want to do their 10 reaction papers when nothing else is due. Because we have 4 projects. See, number 2 here says 4 projects. We have 4 projects this semester and they're due. One of them's due in February, one of them's due in March, one of them's due in early April, one of them's due in early May. And so there are 4 weeks of our 16 weeks where you have a project to do. That's a 50-point project. It's a bigger deal than a reaction paper, which is only 10 points. And so some people prefer to skip the reaction paper weeks when there's a project due, just because they don't want, they just don't want to do a reaction paper and a project. It feels like, double duty for sociology class or something. So some people choose that. That's an option. Additionally, there is a midterm test and a final exam. And so there's 2 more weeks where some people choose to skip their reaction paper. That totals up to 6, by the way, the 4 projects and the 2 tests. So built into the semester, if you want to skip the week when a project is due, if you want to skip the week when the midterm is due or when the final is due, then do your reaction papers every other week that is available. Okay. So, and look at put a notification in your phone right now or however you keep your calendar, put a notification in your phone right now to remind you that, it is, due every weekend, except for the very first week. Look at week 1 in your course schedule and make sure that you are aware that the very first week is due different than your other weeks. But from week 2 forward, every single Sunday night at midnight is when your reaction paper is due. Now you can do it any time between Monday and Sunday. You can do it on Thursday afternoon at 1:30 if that's what's convenient for you. But by Sunday night at midnight, that reaction paper link for that particular week disappears. And you can't make it up because you only have to do 10. So if you don't do one by the time the reaction paper link disappears, that means you have skipped that week and you will do one the following week. Okay, so let's go to, I guess I have another document that's in this folder that's talking about the reaction paper rules for success, because their reaction papers are a wide open assignment. You can choose your topic for it. So let me give some examples of what you should do. So please read this section 3, right here. Please read this section of the syllabus to make sure that you know what a reaction paper is, and then look in this folder for something that's called reaction paper and quiz guidelines, because this information is found at that spot in this folder, and it's on the Start Here page in Blackboard also. So I have this document here that it talks about how you are successful doing a reaction paper, because reaction papers are credit, which is 10 points, or no credit. And so you don't start getting zeros for reaction papers unless you've run out of opportunities during the year, during the semester to do a reaction paper. So if you follow these rules that I'm about to go over with you, you will be successful on reaction papers and you'll end up with a 100% on this assignment. They are 10 points each. You get them 10 points at a time, up to 10. That's 100 points. And so let's talk about it. So you don't have to follow any style guide. A reaction paper is very free flowing and it's up to you how you format it. I just have to be able to read it and interpret it, and understand the link that you're making between sociology content from that week and what you're telling me in your reaction paper. So make sure that it's a diary-like review of the weekly content. Some people, especially early in the semester, just look at their notes that they've taken from the weekly lessons or from the reading assignment that has gone along with the weekly lessons. Some students simply look at that and then rewrite those notes in a paragraph format. Okay. Reaction papers are a minimum. I'm skipping to number 5 here, but reaction papers are a minimum of 300 words. That's not the content. Like you don't make a really long, that's not the header. That's the content. So you don't make a really long header to make up some of those 300 words. It's 300 words of content. And what you do is you summarize the class lessons in narrative format. Don't upload your notes. I need to see sentences, college level writing with sentences and punctuation and page breaks and stuff like this. So make sure that you do that. This is a paper because it's not just your notes that you're uploading. Okay, so if you cite a source, and sometimes you're supposed to cite at least 5 different times in 5 different reaction papers, you are supposed to cite a source. But you don't have to use any kind of style guide for any specific one for me. Just use the one that you need the most practice with and it'll be fine. And so you must cite a source when you use an outside source, but don't, you don't have to ask me what format do I want you to use, because you can choose what format to present it to me in, because this is a very informal paper. So do the one that you need to practice doing. Okay. So start doing your reaction papers as soon in the semester as you possibly can. A lot of people skip the week 1 reaction paper just because you don't have like a whole lot of meat to chew on yet. But please, 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 at least by week 2, everybody needs to submit their first reaction paper, or at least try. Every single time you submit a reaction paper, you will get feedback from me. You'll see a grade come into your My Grades in Blackboard. You'll see that grade, and there'll be a little bubble beside it, and it will be a comment to you. Sometimes it's a very detailed comment. Sometimes it just records like when you submitted it, during what week you submitted it, and good job, or keep it up, or something like this. But sometimes it'll be very detailed response, commentary to let you know, yes, I've read your paper, and yes, it matters, and yes, you can use this information just for us to get to know each other better, or to improve, or to correct knowledge or enhance knowledge moving forward on the topic that you discussed in your paper. Okay, it's a good idea to do your reaction paper before you do your quiz. Quizzes and reaction papers are both due Sunday night at midnight. It's a good idea to do your reaction paper before your quiz, because you're reviewing the information that we covered during the week, and your quiz is going to be on information that we covered during the week. So 2 + 2 = 4. Do your reaction paper, which reviews the information, before you do a quiz, which tests you on the information. Okay. And we'll do another video. We'll explain to you what the quizzes are all about. Okay. So here are some examples of what some outside sources are. It's a 300-word minimum. You write on weekly lessons. You write paragraphs reviewing your notes. And an outside source can include any of these kinds of things that are cited here in number 5. Personal life experiences, your story, your own story, is not an outside source. It has to be something we can cite. So other papers that don't include outside sources, those can include your personal stories. And I love, reading those, how they relate to the material. So always relate your outside sources, always relate your personal stories to the material that we're covering that week. Don't just tell me a personal story and you have to constantly, I'm dumb, okay? You're going to have to constantly tell me, I'm telling you this personal story because it relates to this aspect of sociology that we learned about this week. You have to treat me like I'm dumb so I know how you're relating it to the course content. I don't want one of your comments to be, hey, you don't get credit for this paper because I don't understand how it links to sociology. You got to tell me every step of the way. It links to sociology this way. Your outside source, the same thing. If you do an episode of King of the Hill and you want to analyze its sociology, then you're going to have to tell me episode blah of King of the Hill relates to sociology this way. And then you like analyze it and tell me how it fits. Okay, so 5 of your reaction papers have to have that outside source, like I was just telling you. 5 don't. So 10 total. You choose when you do them. Some people like to do all 5 with the outside source first and then knock out all 5. Other people mix them up or do them the opposite. It's completely and totally up to you. I have them delineated in my grades. I have 5 regular reaction papers, 5 outside source reaction papers. So they are there like organized so you can see like what you got credit for or not. Okay. So every Sunday night, turn them in earlier than that, but not later. You cannot make up a reaction paper if you skipped turning it in. That's a rule that applies to everybody. I don't hate you. It's just what applies to everybody, okay? And so there will always be a journal tool in every weekly folder. That's where you go and you click on the reaction paper journal tool to submit your work. It's best if you use the text box instead of uploading a file. It's best if you use the text box instead of uploading a file. Uploading files will work, but last semester there were a lot of technical glitches and people thought they submitted a reaction paper, but there was nothing there. And if you think you submitted a reaction paper, like uploading a file, and there's nothing there, I can't give you credit for it. It's just one of those reaction papers that you've skipped. So even if you have a technical issue, if your Wi-Fi is out at your house or whatever, if you have waited too long to submit the reaction paper for that particular semester where you could get tech support help, not semester, that particular week, where you could get tech support help if there's a glitch, if you wait too long, I can't help you. So for any reason, you were out of town at a funeral, any reason that you skip the Sunday night turning it in, no, you can't go back and make it up. You have to go to the next week and do a different topic. That's just the rule. It's not personal. That's just the rule. So please, plan ahead. Okay. So there's no makeups. I can't take them late. Can't take them through email. No. Okay. Cover a topic that we talked about that particular week. Don't go back in time. Don't jump ahead in time. Cover a topic that we covered that particular week. Read my comments and my grades. Do it way before midnight so that if you have a question for me, you can text me. Do it way before midnight. Do it like Friday. Do it 48 hours before your midnight deadline so that you can have some tech support if you need it. Plan ahead. Once you've done 10 and got credit for 10, stop doing them. You can't earn extra credit for it, but you can earn extra credit for the discussion board that's also linked in every weekly folder. If you go to the very bottom of every weekly folder, there should be a link for the extra credit discussion board. And what that is for you to go there and interact with your classmates and tell your classmates during week 1, if you have an idea, I think I'm going to write my reaction paper about blah in week 1. It has to be a topic we covered. You can even share the reaction paper that you submit to me. You can go back and share my comments that I gave you for that reaction paper so that others can see. You can simply say something like, I don't really have an idea. I think I'm just going to try to write write my notes out in paragraph form and see if I can come up with 300 words of discussion about that. And submit that. And I think I have an idea for this outside source. And what do y'all think? What outside sources are you using? And get your classmates to interact with you. And then people can go there, your classmates can go there and see examples, successful examples, unsuccessful examples, ideas about outside sources, tactics and strategies that you've taken to write your reaction paper. When are you submitting it during the week so that you can make sure and make that Sunday deadline? Anything about reaction papers submitted at the extra credit discussion board, and at the end of the semester it has made a difference between a B and an A for people in the past, for a D and a C for people in the past, a successful grade and a not successful grade for people in the past by participating in that extra credit discussion board. So I hope this video helped. Please make sure that you put me on slower so that maybe I'm not talking so fast if you need to re-watch this. But there are some questions on your quiz 1, your syllabus quiz, about the information that I covered in this video. So please make sure that you do well. I will see you in the next video, which I'm going to talk to you about quizzes.